Coming to you live before a studio audience in Columbus, Ohio. It is Saturday afternoon sports with Off The Bandwagon.
Yeah.
Woo!
Get it.
Yeah. You just go on like a soundbite parade there real quick. I am Kev. What up, guys? That is Shawn B, who is about to say what's up to you.
What's up, people?
Full disclosure there. I went to say, hey, guys, I'm Kev, and then mashed that in between. So I almost said I am Hev, and had, I like to be open. I'm an open and honest guy. So, I make mistakes, much like somebody else will be getting to here in a little bit. And a debatable mistake has been whether or not Kyrie's decision to go not so public, but at least expressed his interest in leaving. Has that been a mistake? Because he's still in Cleveland. He hasn't gone anywhere yet. We're on Kyrie watch, day.
No, it's not a mistake because what you just said. It's everybody's watching him. He's got all the attention, you know what I mean? And that's what it's all about, especially during the off season. The more attention you garner over this period of time, going into the season, dude, you're a hot fucking topic. So, I think he did the right thing. From a publicity standpoint, he definitely did.
Oh, publicity-wise, yeah, he's doing well. The newest wrench in the Kyrie story is, as you know, he gave his list of teams. What was it? Miami, San Antonio, Memphis. I'm just kidding. Anyway, Miami was on his list of 4 teams he wanted to play on. And if you remember, Kyrie and Dion Waiters didn't get along very well when they played together in Cleveland, and Dion Waiters, after struggling in Oklahoma, has now found a home in Miami and is kind of that dude. He's definitely not their best guy, but he's like their emotional leader over there. Dragic is better, I would argue. Whiteside is definitely more valuable to that team, but he's there like Steven Jackson. He can go for 35 a night. Or, they're J.R. Smith, except he's much more consistent than J.R. Smith. And he was quoted as saying, this was funny, saw this up on Twitter earlier, about Kyrie, make sure he knows there's an alpha male here too. So Dion already putting it out there, like, don't think you're going to come over here and I'm going to be your little brother. So, what do you think about that? Does that ruin Kyrie's shot at going to Miami?
Ruin is a strong word, but it definitely throws a kink in the chain here. Because a big reason why he wants to leave Cleveland is for that very reason. He wants to be the top dog, and that stake's already being claimed down there. I wouldn't go put yourself in a situation that's just as bad, than what you're trying to get out of. So, that don't really make no sense. If I was him and I was going to go to another team, I'd go to a team that was willing to embrace me and what I bring and treat me like the star I am. That was Kyrie, you know what I'm saying? He needs to be in that role because obviously that means a lot to him. He wants to be the guy. So, don't go somewhere where there's scrubs already claiming to be the guy. Just fuck that, just avoid that altogether. And, go somewhere where you're welcome, dude, like the Jazz or, something like that.
Kyrie to the Jazz. He'd love life out there.
Utah, dude.
Living that wife some consider a myth. Do you think, last Kyrie topic, do you think it's a mistake for him to leave?
No.
No?
No.
You'd rather be your own man than make sure you get to the title?
He's won one, dude. He'll have the chance to win somewhere else, or at least get as close as Cleveland. Cleveland's done, dude. Cleveland is, especially when LeBron leaves, that dynasty, quote unquote, dynasty is over. You know what I'm saying? It's, why not get the hell out while you can? Get out while the getting's good, man. I don't blame him at all. But I assume you feel differently about it?
No. I want everybody. I think I'm a firm believer. Do what you want to do. Do what feels right for you. He has the title already. he can play for whatever he chooses to play for. Whatever makes him happy, going out there and doing that, however he wants to be remembered, that's his decision, not mine. I understand the argument, though, where people are saying, this is your best chance right now. You can at least guarantee you'll get to the finals. And there aren't any guarantees in life, but the NBA, of all the professional leagues, is the most predictable when you look at it historically. The top teams seem to, more often than not, get to where they're supposed to go. Even the year when Kyrie and Kevin Love both were hurt, the Cavs managed to get to the finals the years that they were supposed to. That's why upsets in the NBA playoffs are regarded so much. They're regarded more highly than in the other leagues because they're more rare. So I see where he's coming from. It's always got to be in the back of your mind, like, he might never get to a finals again. So if he goes somewhere, we saw what it was like when he was the man, but only time will tell. I tend to agree with you. I think this could just be a Days of Our Lives kind of twist. This could be some, like, Beatles, Paul McCartney, John Lennon in the basement planning to make it look like Yoko broke up the band, but in the meantime, everything will be fine come week one, and the Cavs will roll off and get some wins and maybe get my boy Chris Jackson, a.k.a. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, signed off the bench because he's better than Darren Williams right now. But that's our update. That's Kyrie Watch Day 111. Still pending. But we should. It's pert near time we get to the real story at hand, and that has been the law getting laid down.
Yeah.
On your boy Zeke.
What happened, dude? Man? Well, he hasn't done anything. Well, as far as this case goes, he hasn't done nothing, recently. But, like, he coming into the NFL, I know you remember the whole thing about the girl from Ohio State who was his girlfriend, and she was bringing those domestic violence charges up on him, and which it all eventually got dismissed. There wasn't enough evidence, and there were different, there was too much different stuff going, like stories were different and just things just didn't add up, so they dismissed it all. And but George Goodell, being the gentleman he is, decided he wanted to go ahead and
good old George.
give him a little suspension for 6 games this year. Just because, no real reason. Just because, you shouldn't have been doing that, even though it was fucking before you even got drafted. Didn't bother doing anything last season. And now all of a sudden, dude's coming off a season where he was the, number 1 rusher in the league. And now you want to fucking sit him out for 6 games? That's kind of shitty. You know what I'm like? That's like, what the fuck, man? Like, and the girl who actually is at the core of all this, I don't know her personally, but I used to bone a chick who, like, went to high school with her and said she's always been like that. She was always the chick, like, she'd go after the athletes and, that had potential, and she was creepy, and she was accusing them of stuff, and, like, she's gotten people in trouble back then. So, like, this situation, it's like, like you had said something earlier about the whole her taking pictures next to him. What was that about?
I had heard, so there are obviously some Zeke defenders in my office. Everybody, there are not only rabid OSU fans where I work, but of course there are some Cowboys fans, because especially in Columbus, at least, the Cowboys returned to being America's team as soon as they drafted Zeke. There's a lot of bandwagon hopping going on over here. So of course they were on the defensive, and they were mentioning things about, she would post selfies on Instagram of her with Zeke, or take photos of her with Zeke while Zeke was sleeping, and was, send them to her friends about, like, there's my man, he's going to be an NFL star someday. Just stuff about that she would brag to her friends, talk to her friends just about the fact that she was dating someone that was going to be famous, and that itself should be the red flag right there that you should get out before that situation comes, because you know it's coming, right? If you're just a meal ticket, one way or the other, you're going to be that meal ticket. So if once time comes for you to leave, you better be ready for the crazy attack, because you're not getting out of that for free. Shawn B, you know, you're a hip-hop rock star, bro. You know what it's like. You've had them groupies.
Not to that extreme, but yeah, that's crazy, man.
It's like some Robert De Niro the Fan stuff right there.
That's
If
wild.
it's true. I say that all with a grain of salt. That's all allegedly, and that's third hand. This is me overhearing conversations. There is no merit to that. But again, I know you feel strongly that this is the case, that what's going on. I'm reserving personally my judgment here, because I don't know. This could all be a trap. But if it was actual domestic violence, then I don't ever feel bad for anybody who committed domestic violence. If you're getting punished a year and a half after the fact and you're upset that, oh, you can't punish me so far afterwards, well, they punished Tom Brady a year and a half after deflating a football. And that shit, we wasted the Supreme Court's time with that. So I really don't have any sympathy for him if it turns out to be true. If it's not true, then yeah, I'll feel bad for him. But at least he's not Lucky Whitehead. You know, like, at least he can reserve the fact that he can ball. Because if he were Lucky Whitehead, he'd be working the checkout at Costco right now.
Right.
Actually, no, because the Jets wouldn't pick Zeke up, because they're trying to tank. That's why they picked up Lucky Whitehead. They're like, oh, yeah, you'll be our number one receiver.
That's terrible. Or in a Kaepernick situation, too.
Could get,
Yeah,
no, I don't know.
Kaepernick takes a knee, and he's blackballed.
Yeah.
You know?
But look at Greg Hardy. Again, then now, and this is the Cowboys. That's the other thing. If this were any other team, would Zeke maybe be worrying about getting fired right now? Because the Giants, their owner knew that their kicker was beating his wife, but once it got out to the public, they fired him. They swept it under the rug, but as soon as it got out, they cut ties. Most teams in the league in the present day, the way the world is right now, they're just going to cut ties. But we're talking about a guy in the second year of his career. He's, like 23, 24, hasn't even hit his ceiling yet, and is one of the most productive offensive players in the NFL. So he's a guy you're going to give that second chance to, because he could be a generational type player. If he were marginal, you know, that's what people don't realize about Ray Rice. That if Ray Rice was at the end of his career, if Ray Rice did what he did and he were in the first or second year into that stretch, you know, in the situation Zeke's in, he probably would have gotten a job. You know, Greg Hardy at least got another chance. He ruined that for himself. You see, you know, Mike Vick, after going to jail for 2 years, got another chance. You know, if you're good enough, you get that chance in the NFL. And that's why the guys who aren't great, they get the harsh examples put on them, because that makes the league, in their mind, they're overcompensating so they can look fair. That's why, you know, and then you see a guy like Kaepernick getting blackballed over taking a knee. And think about all the other guys in the league that took a knee after him, and not one of them has had to worry about that issue.
Because he was the leader.
Yeah, because he just organized this secret movement to all these guys in these other locker rooms. And, yeah, it's crazy. And Jay Cutler got $10 million because of it.
Yep.
Because of a T-shirt and an afro. It's crazy. So did some dude named Olsen. I can't remember. You know, we all know who I'm talking about. -1 yards.
Yeah.
Now, this is the crazy thing. I wonder where the American people stand. Like, Zeke still gets to be in the league. Let's say this is true. Let's play this hypothetical with me. Right? Shawn B, actually, let me just ask you. If it's true, let's say you find out all of this is true. Like, yeah, she was a nut job, but, you know, she pissed dude off one day and he actually did put hands on her, rough her up a little bit. What is your new perception of Zeke, and how do you feel about his 6-game suspension?
I'm still gonna like him as a player. He could be a piece of shit person, and I may not like him as a person, but dude, what you do on the field is different than what you do in real life. In my opinion, same thing with musicians or whatever. I try to separate the two because if I'm listening or watching somebody, I like them for what they do. On that stage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a fuck if he beats the shit out of his girlfriend. That's their business. Personally, it's not my goddamn business. I don't know that bitch. For all I know, she could probably try to cut his dick off. I don't know. I've came across some crazy bitches. So personally, I'm usually pretty sympathetic when it comes to that department. Not saying it's right to smack a bitch up, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not
Shout out to all our female listeners.
I'm not going to, hate Zeke because he had to put his hands on a bitch one time, for talking sideways at the BD Mongolian grill or whatever. Sometimes shit goes down, and he did what he did.
It goes down in the BD.
And there's not even any real proof, and as of right now, everyone's like, nah, Zeke never did that shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but again, I was asking the hypothetical, if we get to a point where it is proven true beyond a reasonable doubt. That's what I'm saying. I understand that currently that's not the case, but if it ends up being the case, it's going to, and it's a false equivalency. He's already under contract and on a roster, and people tend to forget that Colin Kaepernick had the option to stay in San Francisco for another $13 million. He opted out of his contract. That's why he's out looking for a job. So it is a little bit different here. But there are going to be those people who are going to get very mad, and they're going to go hang out with Spike Lee and protest Roger Goodell's office about Colin Kaepernick not having a job. And they're going to sit here and say, you've got fucking guys like Greg Hardy and Ezekiel Elliott beating women, and that's okay. But this guy can't take a knee for standing up against abuse of innocent people without getting blackballed from the league. And it's all about how much money can you make for me. And it's just, and they're the owners. I get what you're saying, and I get where you're coming from in your standpoint. And I'm very confused about the whole thing because, again, we pay to watch it. If you're upset with what's going on, stop watching it. You always have that power as a consumer. Turn it off. Don't participate. Convince other people to stop participating, and then you'll get some change.
Slow the fuck down there, Kev. Don't, dude. Don't convince people to stop fucking watching NFL football.
No, they won't. That's what they never will. That's what I'm saying. But that's the conundrum that we're in, right? Like there's really how do you pick and choose when to have a moral stance in the world of sports? It's people want what will entertain them the most. If people genuinely thought Colin Kaepernick would make a team a Super Bowl contender, they'd be even more fired up about him not having a team. They'd want him somewhere.
He has made it to the Super Bowl. He does have it on his resume.
Yeah, but it's 2017, dude. If I can't, if there's not proof of it on Periscope, it doesn't exist.
Jesus.
What have you done for me lately?
So speaking of people having jobs and shit, how you feel about this Sammy Watkins trade?
I have a lot of thoughts about the Sammy Watkins trade. We mentioned earlier on our Jay Cutler episode my theory behind the Patriots being handed this Super Bowl in what will probably be Tom Brady's last season as a Patriot. We can get to that later. I'll shelf that for now. On when I look at this, people are saying that the Bills are blowing it up, that they're throwing it up, they're switching into rebuilding mode, and it's kind of confusing. And Tyrod Taylor's definitely gone now. When you think about it, Sammy Watkins is a great receiver, but he's always hurt. He's always hurt. You know that. Like he's their best guy, but when your best guy's not there, is having Matthews out there, who's been pretty consistent and been pretty good over the last few years, and getting draft picks added to that, because the trades that they made worked well with each other. They got rid of their best corner and their best receiver, and they got some young, promising talent at corner and at receiver and added draft picks. So they have 3 draft picks in each of the first 3 rounds next year. So, realistically, they're not competing with the Patriots this year. And if the Dolphins had Tannehill, or if they get Tannehill back, or if Jay Cutler has some kind of renaissance to a person he's never been before, they're not in real contention for their own division or the playoffs this year anyway. So it's not a terrible move to get, okay, well, we've got a receiver. He's not quite as good as Sammy, but he'll be on the field every game for the next 3 years, and we feel confident about that. He'll get us 50 to 60 receptions. He's a good possession guy. And we have all these early round draft picks to get some talent to build around what we have. I like the move for them because, again, they weren't going to win anything with what they had. So let's shake it up. Let's make some moves. Before I ask you your opinion, an interesting fun fact, now the Rams' top 2 receivers are Sammy Watkins and Robert Woods. So good luck, Jared Goff. That hasn't worked in the past. I don't know why you'd use that recipe to try to succeed. What are your thoughts on these moves?
Well, I actually have a kind of a recent developed opinion, and it's based off the knowledge you shared with me, because I'm kind of leaning that way right now about the whole New England conspiracy. Because, like, that, honestly, that's really the only way you can kind of justify this shit. You know, the fucking Jay Cutler coming down there to throw, passes, getting paid to throw passes to,
whoever.
Yeah, New England cornerbacks or whatever, and safeties and shit for other teams. And then the whole, like, Sammy Watkins getting dealt out like that. It does kind of look like they're softening that division. And for what?
Look at what the Jets did. The Jets completely cleaned house.
Yeah.
I mean,
they got rid of...
at the beginning of last season, they were considered a playoff team, right? They were just a quarterback away. They went out and got Forte. They had Marshall. They had Decker. They had a really old team. And then they blew it all up. They got rid of everybody. And now they've got a quarterback who can't even break a huddle properly. Christian Hackenberg's been removed from practice because he can't say break and clap his hands at the same time. That's what's his now. And in his defense, he went to Penn State, so he was probably a little traumatized throughout the whole ordeal. Probably has some flashbacks when he hears clapping hands. Not to mention, though, when I saw how Jimmy Garoppolo played the first 2.5 quarters of the Patriots preseason opener. So this opinion was brought to my attention. Starts to make a little sense. They're grooming their fans for the Jimmy Garoppolo era, which again leads me to believe if Tom Brady's 40, this is going to be his last season in New England. Someone else will give him a chance. They did it with Brett Favre. Vinny Testaverde played as a backup well into his 40s. George Blanda. I mean, other
Kerry Collins.
Kerry Collins. See,
Yeah.
You see, yeah, Kurt Warner.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning, maybe not quite into 40, but old quarterbacks. When your game wasn't running, Mike Vick's not in the league right now because his legs were his game. He wasn't an intelligent quarterback. He wasn't good at reading a defense. He was sort of your backyard run around. The coverage breaks down. He had the arm strength. He had the speed to run around until his arm strength could bail him out. But these smarter guys can play later into their career. The Patriots are too smart. They're too pragmatic. They play it by the book. They very rarely make exceptions. They're not going to hold on to Tom Brady for so long that Jimmy Garoppolo goes, and gets a starting job somewhere else because they believe he's the guy to get things done in their system and that they can keep this dynasty going. And, Bill Belichick, part of Bill Belichick has to want to win one without Tom Brady at some point. He wants to at least have that one, right? To just be able to say he could do it without Brady. Mm-hmm. Doesn't want to end up being Phil Jackson. And it's really, when you put all that stuff together, you got the Bills getting rid of their best players, some of their 2 best players, right? The same offseason in which they re-signed their quarterback. So it's odd timing for them to just decide they're going to rebuild. I mean, it's week 1 of the preseason, right? And they're rebuilding now.
Yeah.
Like, you don't make that decision before the draft. You could have traded Sammy Watkins You know what I mean? You could have made these moves a couple months ago and had turned it into draft picks this year. You could have started the process now. You're putting yourself behind a year. But, I mean, it's maybe by trading for future picks, they were able to stockpile it a little better. I don't know what the logic is behind it. But Ryan Tannehill getting a non-contact knee injury that just so happens to be bringing Jay Cutler in for the remainder of the season. It feels a little too convenient.
Yeah.
Making it a little too easy for our Pats to go 12-4. Just walk their way in to the AFC Championship at Foxborough in the snow, where they're going to have the advantage against your Oakland Raiders. And I see a Tuck Rule repeat. That's what I'm feeling. I feel it in my bones. It's going to be a very controversial play. It's going to cost your bad boys another shot at that title. Then they'll win one. Now let me follow up. Quick question: is it the Raiders have 2 seasons left in Oakland, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to happen. They're going to lose in the AFC Championship to New England this season. And then next season they're going to win the Super Bowl their last year in Oakland. They're going to give that to the NFL purists, and it's to Oakland. Because it's also going to be the first year. It's going to be the year that the Warriors dynasty breaks down a little bit. You know, Warriors will win one more. So, you know, Golden State will lose their NBA championship, but then they're going to get their Raiders back. You know, that farewell victory lap, Super Bowl championship. I'm betting on it, dude. Vince McMahon runs all of sports now. He's starting to script it out, so I'm picking up on some things.
It's pretty sexy. I've been saying that for a minute. Like, I could kind of see that going down. Just that one Super Bowl win before.
They got to get one.
Yeah.
Marshawn's coming out of retirement. Didn't he sign a 2-year deal?
Yep.
Yep. I'm telling you, boy. I'm telling you. They're going to get robbed, and the whole team's going to know, and that's what's going to make it, you know, unite them. That's going to be the storyline. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to sell so many T-shirts and ESPN airtime. Useful.
Did you happen to see any of the recent preseason highlights or games or anything?
Yeah, I did. I was able to watch a little bit of the Texans game. Was it Texans-Panthers? I caught just a little bit of New England-Jacksonville. Deshaun Watson, I thought it was funny that they were talking about did he play well enough to win the job. I think that's a little premature. I know Savage really didn't do too much. He had a high completion percentage, but not a lot of yards, threw for like 60 yards. So he didn't impress anybody either. Deshaun Watson looked pretty good for a rookie. Mitch Trubisky, you know, I know you were chatting it up with Nate about that. He had some pretty good stats for his first time showing. Again, I don't know if it's early enough to talk quarterback controversy. Chicago's best bet is probably not to let a rookie be fed to the Lions this year. What about you, man? Anything that popped out at you during week 1 of the preseason?
The Trubisky thing definitely stood out.
Oh, who else you got? I forgot about one of mine.
Go ahead, dude.
TJ Watt, dude.
I was going to bring him up.
TJ Watt.
2 sacks, dude. And I'm kind of pissed because we had the chance to get him. Like, he went like 31st overall or 30th overall to the fucking Steelers. Like, I wanted him so bad.
He was looking good out there.
Yeah.
He was sacking Jared Johnson or something.
Still.
He's sacking the Giants' 3rd or 4th string quarterback, but, you know, unless Geno's 3rd string now. That'd just be sad. Geno gets to New York and he's 3rd string over there. Whew. That Madden rating of like 61. Be donezo. You excited? You got that coming up, man.
Yeah.
You know, Madden. Let outside of the Raiders, give the people inside scoop who you think is going to be a good rebuilding project on the upcoming Madden game.
Jets.
The Jets, yeah. If you like to put in some work,
Yeah,
that's if you're GM role.
Yeah, that's if you got the time and you don't mind getting your ass whooped for the first season or 2.
And sign a lot of free agents.
Yeah, just you'll have to like rebuild that through the draft mostly. And you'll get some key free agents here and there, but there's really not, the next like couple years aren't a whole lot that's coming out that's like prime rib. You know what I'm saying? None of them elite motherfuckers really.
That grade A. Well, outside of my Colts, who I would will probably be an easy rebuild on its own. I would say the Bears, man. Because you have an abundance of riches. If you're out there trying to play Madden, the one thing you do want to have, if you decide to play any games in your first season, you want to have a decent quarterback. Glenn and Trubisky, got a couple options there. Other than that, I'd say the Browns, Deshaun Kaiser. Be a nice little project. Texans.
I would probably make a move and somehow get Patrick Mahomes, but I'm definitely not fucking playing with Kansas City.
Kansas City was going to be the other one I lobbed out there, because you can trade Alex Smith away for a 5th-round draft pick or something. But, yeah. Mahomes, interesting little pet project there. Well, the one last little topic I had, I wanted to get your opinion on the newest acquisition, the real NBA shakeup that I have seen in the last few days, and that was the Knicks, the Mecca. They have acquired the talents of one Michael Beasley for a year. Shawn B, is this enough to get the Knicks finally to eclipse Boston and Cleveland as the number one in the East going into this season?
Hell to the motherfucker no. I don't see them having a better record than they did this year, to be honest with you.
Think Beasley will start?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, he might.
Yeah. I mean, they're not.
If those Houston talks keep, if that comes to fruition, he might be the contingency in case Melo's not there, because they're about the same size. He's a left-handed poor man's Melo. Maybe. But do you see him Porzingis at the 5 then?
Yeah,
and Beasley,
that's what I was thinking.
Beasley and Melo on the outside?
Yeah, and the wings. Yeah, I mean, I could see it. But I was thinking more if, like, Melo gets traded or leaves or whatever. Like, I was thinking he would definitely probably start then. But if Melo sticks around, he'll probably be coming off the bench. Old Beasley would. But, yeah, I like Michael Beasley. I've heard he's a really major asshole. But as far as this game goes, I like him. I've dogged with him in some NBA 2K. He's been a player of the game, a few of my franchises.
Ooh.
Because he's usually one
That's
of my
how you
role
know
players.
it's make-believe.
He's had some outings for me.
Well,
yeah.
Speaking of hoops, man, don't forget, guys and gals, to join us for Half Court Trap later. Going over our Week 8 power rankings and the matchups for the Big Three.
Yeah.
Closing down on this regular season. We're going to see what's happening.
That's right.
We'll talk a little 2K18.
Yeah, motherfucker.
Sean B, they got 16 new classic teams coming into this game.
I heard about that, yeah. I want to go over them.
And big baller.
Hopefully one of them's fucking Barkley, dude. Barkley's sons would be nice.
Oh.
Because they don't have that one, though.
You know what I want? I want the Barkley Rockets, man.
Hell yeah. There
Hakeem,
you go. Yeah.
Barkley, Clyde. Ones out
That'd
there.
actually be pretty sick.
Or that 90s Knicks. I want the 99 Knicks, that 8 seed in the strike year.
Yeah.
That got all the way to the finals and lost to the Spurs. Like, I want that Knicks squad out there. Larry Johnson and stuff. Ooh.
That's pretty sexy.
But that's all I have for the lovely people out there in the audience, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Sean B, do you have any parting words before we do our selfless shame?
I'm just going to reiterate on what you said earlier. Make sure you come back later for Half Court Trap. Discuss some basketball stuff a little further. And like Kev said, some Big Three shit going down. Get that Week 8 analysis. Analysis. But yeah, man. Until then, enjoy your motherfucking self.
Find us on the web at Bad Dinner Guests or at Off The Bandwagon, except the E is a 3. Nighty night, folks.
Peace.